my fellow readers, I, Dark Symphony 777. We do a fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications. Leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story, any future fan fictions you want me to read or review. And finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, as of this recording, Castlevania week has not started. I'm actually, I'm just recording a bunch of Castlevania videos, but I have to do a review. If I was going to do a couple of readings, I had to do a review too. So I thought, what Castlevania story is good enough that I would go, what Castlevania story is good enough that I would want to review it? And then I thought, Requiem of Trust. Yes, that is right. This story I'm reviewing is called Requiem of Trust. It is by a Late Night Slacker, and it is adventure, humor, Castlevania. And honestly, when I first read this story about a couple of years ago, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious because there were so many in-jokes in like the Castlevania franchise that is just not even funny. And everything was kind of very humorous in a weird sort of way. Like a very surreal sort of way. I'll tell you what I mean when I get to the plot. But when I read it now to do this review, I admit that I kind of had I had some nostalgia on it. It's like, oh, this is gonna be very good. And then when I read it, it's like, this doesn't seem as good as I remember it being. It's still pretty decent. Like I wouldn't call it a bad story. What are you looking at? Yay! Puppies in my room because my little sister is out and she kept whining. I needed to get her to stop whining. So, let's get to the plot. The plot is basically summed up in a couple of Castlevania characters are stuck in the modern day. Look at their shenanigans. that's the short version. That's the short version. That's like if I had to summarize it in like 1 or 2 sentences, that'd be that. The long version is Leon Belmont, yes, that Leon Belmont from Lamb and Innocence, is stuck in a Starbucks. And he's ordering some coffee. And then the barista, who is totally not Chanel, I mean, sorry, it's like she's totally not Chanel. I mean, it just says the barista. Like, it's not Chanel, it's not spoilers for a sequel or anything. Super Sarah. And Leon is just trying to order coffee, and then he's like, fine, just give me something. And so the barista, who's totally not Chanel, gives him the coffee, and he's like going out, and he's like, ugh. And he like goes outside, and he just hands it to Jokan. Oh yeah, Jokan's there too. And they're just talking, and they're just, and they're with like Soma. It's like because it's modern day, you gotta have Soma, and Soma's just like being emo, like an idiot emo, like no, I'm a hipster. Oh, white hair, white fur coat, hipster. And then Alucard shows up and said, Castlevania has returned. And it's like, I'm like, wait. Castlevania came back. And it was stuck in the moon. and then they run to Castlevania. And then it's there. I'm like, wait. It's back. That means wait, no, Soma's there. Soma's Dracula. Wait, I don't get what's going on. What is this? What is this drug-filled abomination of what say you? And then you wag your tail. What am I reading? And then Soma and Alucard get separated, and with not Soma and Leon, the four get separated, and Soma's like, I want to be ruler of the castle, and he's like, la 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 la. And so he runs after Dracula, and also trying to say, I gotta do my bitchin' attack. That's actually kind of a running joke in like the first 3 chapters. He's like, I gotta do the bitching attack. Which you don't know what the bitching attack is. All it has to do something is very bitching. And so the group of 4 gets separated. And Alucard and Alucard and Jokan, they meet Dracula And then, did you not? Dracula goes, oh, I'm not, Lord. Oh, don't worry, I'm not evil anymore. It's like, huh? Don't worry. I've gone vegan. I'm just picturing that weird sort of just confusement. And we're like, huh? And I actually reacted like that to like both times I read the story because like at first I was like, what? And then the second time I read it, it's like, yeah, still doesn't make sense. Vegan Dracula. Okay, let's have some more mushrooms and green tea smoothies. And yes, for the environment. Basically, the characters are like basically Castlevania-esque characters of like modern day character tropes. You have Soma, who's like the hipster guy. You have Alucard, who's like the emo. Dracula is like the overly sensitive snowflake vegan sort of thing. Joachim is like there. and Leon's a straight guy. Like he's the guy who's like, he's basically the guy who's like having to endure all this bullshit and goes like, why am I dealing with this? And then his wife Sarah, who's in the whips, just cursing him out nonstop and saying, you fucking bastard, what you want, mate? You need to fight back. You need to stop him, kick him in the nuts, just do something, or suck his goddamn whip. And the story just completely snowballs from there. Basically, Alucard and Soma show up and like, and they're going like, I'm ready to kill you and become Lord of the Castle. And it's like, no, you're not. And someone's like, we're ready to kill you anyway. And it's like, no, Dracula's good. He's a vegan. And Alucard's like, what? And so after that, the story's just basically one long, like, couple extra chapters of them saying, I still want to be ruler of the castle, but I need to remodel. And so we need to go to these separate doors full of demons, kill them, let the castle be destroyed so we can remodel it. And they're like, all right. And so they go to each door, which is just even more stupid and ridiculous than the last. This kind of humor that a lot of people kind of is really hit or miss. It's a very stupid kind of humor because the first door leads to an actual demon, which is like in the dark. The first door leads to Isaac from Curse of Darkness, and he's like an overly stereotypical macho man. It's like Isaac never removes his fist, and he's like basically like the ultimate manly man. And he's like, I'm bored. I got nothing to do. I've been stuck behind this door for like a couple hundred years, just doing nothing, making Harleys behind my house. You want to see them? You can have one. And spends the entire story just riding a hog, like, including through the clock tower. Like, yeah. And it's like, you can't make this shit. This is one of those stories where it's like, no, that actually didn't happen. It's like, true story. True story. True story. All this shit happened. Vegan Dracula, Isaac got ultra manly, like a man's man, Isaac, doing nothing but riding a motorcycle and being a man. Soma constantly cursing, Sarah yelling and cursing at her husband from her whip, and all these shenanigans. That's basically like most of the story. And in the end, when the castle kind of gets destroyed, Isaac says, "I'm gonna help. I'll help you out, mate. I'll help you out, mate." It's like you're buddies. I'm a manly man. Only the castle, this structure must be built by hand. By a man's man. Oh yeah! No idea why I turned into Randy Savage. Oh yeah! And I was honestly expecting like a Slim Jim advert. Anyway, that's the story. That's the plot. Overall, the plot is actually pretty excellent. It's basically you take all these wacko tropes from modern day, these character tropes, these ideas and stuff like that. You put them like on top of Castlevania characters, and you see what you basically just let it go from there. That's basically what I think of the plot. I think it's not bad. It certainly wasn't as polished as I thought it would be. Like, it's mainly because of Isaac. I'm not a. I kind of don't know what to think of Isaac. We'll talk about him right now. We're moving on to characters. Let's just get the elephant out of the way. Again, Isaac, he's basically a manly man. He works in a way because, he's like a stereotype of an alpha. Like, he's this really buff guy, builds Harleys, to the point where when they're fighting enemies in the dark and someone tries to attack Isaac from behind accidentally, but Isaac completely counters, and I'm like, cool. I said, how'd you know I was there? I said, and he goes, a real man never lets anyone hit him from behind. But even hit you. Because he hit me from the front. I actually laughed at that because it's actually kind of hilarious. Because it's done in like the most serious thing, because Isaac is supposed to be like super serious. But on the flip side, for like a lot of moments, he actually kind of detracts from the humor or any type or certain scenarios. We'll talk about that later. In the fact that he's just so macho and manly that it kind of makes certain parts of the story actually worse just by him being him. Like, it's not even his fault. It's just the story's written, and it's trying to be humor but adventure. But it's mainly just Isaac. I have a problem with it, and even then, it's like I like him, but I hate him at the same time. It's like depending on what scene. Depending on where you are in the story, where he's introduced, is where you'll either like him or you hate him. It just depends. Dracula, he's an emo. He's like he throughout the story, he's even a running gag when he cries. The author actually goes out of their way of saying Dracula is crying emo tears again. My tea, my castle, my vegan lifestyle. Dracula's hilarious. He's alright. He's pretty much the star of the show. Like, anything that comes out of Dracula's mouth is hilarious. I mean, seriously, it's just very funny. Then we get to Soma. Soma's bland. He's supposed to be like the bland guy. He's supposed to be the nondescript guy who's trying to go for attention. And so, when they're in the castle, like Dracula is, because he's a vegan and he's only lord of the castle in name only. Soma's there, so Soma becomes sort of the castle and kind of goes crazy, it's like, I want all this attention and power! And so they basically just beat the crap out of him. And then Dracula goes, and then Dracula attacks by just calling him names. That was funny. Like, you are a really bad person! And all the souls come out of him and they take him. But yeah, Soma's like a nondescript guy who wants attention, stuff like that. It works in this case. Alucard. Alucard is basically one of the two straight guys. He kind of sympathizes with his father, like, I'm proud to be your son, sort of thing. Like, he gets like a little character arc with just him throughout the story bonding with his dad. So, for what it's worth, it's not bad. It could have been better, but it's not bad for what it was. Leon and Sarah. Leon's a straight guy. Leon is basically the same guy. He's the one who doesn't really do a lot of the jokes. He's actually he's kind of the butt of the jokes a little bit. Like he's like he's like a too cool guy who's trying way too hard to be serious, but it kind of comes off as very hokey. It works in this case, depending on, it depends on the scene. He's like Isaac in that way. Like, some parts of the story he works, some other parts he doesn't. It just depends. And Sarah's just basically just a loudmouth. It's just a motor mouth, loudmouth, constantly cursing. Like, if she was real, she would probably do like this all the time. Like, again, it works. And then finally, Jokai. Or as Ariel called him, the metrosexual vampire. Honestly, Jokai. Remember what I said about Dracula steals the show? He would have, not for Jokheim. Literally everything that Jokheim said or did was hilarious. He was literally the highlight of the entire story. If it wasn't for a certain specific part, he legitimately would have been my favorite part in the entire story because he's just that ridiculous. But he's also played very straight. He's basically just, a metrosexual, like queer eye for straight guys, that kind of thing. And he's just, he's constantly just doing all these stuff, like taking selfies. And he's like a millennial. He's basically a 10,000-year-old millennial. He's trying to be hip and be with it, and he's trying too hard. He's trying hard, but he's trying too hard to make it look natural. But at the same time, he's trying even harder than that, and it kind of goes back to being completely hilarious. It goes from good to bad to good again. That's how he's written the story. He's trying too hard to try and seem too not hard enough. Oh, you want the puppy? Here's your puppy. Here's your puppy. You can stay on the he's absolutely right. He's a riot. I kid you not, if it wasn't for one specific part, he literally would have been my favorite part of the story. Because anything he says, anything he does, is just ridiculous to an absurd degree. Because it makes so much sense that you have a character like Jokheim and be like, oh, he's a metrosexual. That's the code word for colossal douchebag. That's what he is. He's a douchebag. He does the single stupidest things ever, but he kind of makes him more endearing because it comes off because the timing of him is just perfect for everything. Oh my god, he's just hilarious. Grammar errors. I didn't see any grammar errors. Pacing and writing. I didn't have no problems with the pacing. I thought the pacing was done pretty well. It's done as it's a comedy story, so pacing is very important. Depending on what kind of jokes you're gonna try and do, pacing is very important if you're trying to build up to a big joke at the end. Slower pacing's kind of better. But this one takes at least a little brisk break. There's tons of little jokes, mainly with Jokheim, scattered throughout the story, and the pacing doesn't go too fast that the jokes don't wear out immediately. It doesn't go slow enough, saying that they give us at least some character development. It is an adventure humor story, so it makes sense from the pacing, and the writing is not bad either. Like I said, all the characters are basically caricatures of certain stereotypes of modern day tropes, with Jokheim, metrosexual, Dracula, vegan, that Leon, the guy trying way too hard to be cool, and all of them are stereotypes. Favorite part. I actually wanted to do this. I wanted to do favorite part before I got to what I recommended, because I actually wanted to talk a little bit about my favorite part, because I actually it's out of left field, but it's actually pretty cool. So let me set the stage. The entire group are partway through Dracula's castle. I think they beat about 2 enemies. They cleared 2 doors. One of them was Isaac. The other one was a demon. And so they come to this door. That was just basically this long hallway. And so they start going through the hallway. He starts, even Isaac's just driving his bike through the hallway. He's hey. but everything becomes cramped, and he had to leave it. And so they come to this kind of closed off door, saying, and Leon going this is a door of someone who's been forgotten. And then they open up the door and they find themselves in a bar. And so they're wondering who's the person we have to fight. And then who shows up but Sonia Frickin' Belmont? Now I don't know if you know this, but Sonia Belmont's kind of a mysterious figure in the Castlevania lore, mainly because in 2005, before I tell you about my favorite, why I think this part is funny, I have to give some context of what's going on. and that takes place all the way in 2005. In 2005, Koji Igarashi retconned two games from the Castlevania franchise: Castlevania Circle of the Moon and Castlevania Legends. Legends' main character was Sonia Belmont. And when he was interviewed, they were asked why were the games retconned. With Circle of the Moon, he basically explained he didn't make it, therefore, it's kind of, he doesn't consider it canon because he didn't work on it. Like, Circle of the Moon was worked on like a skeleton crew because him and the main bulk of the crew were working on Lamb of Innocence and Harmony of Distance at the time. So, so they had that. So everyone's like, that's kind of fair. And because of Order of Ecclesia, it's kind of like Circle of the Moon has kind of been become ambiguous on whether it's canon or not. Because with Order of Ecclesia now existing, it is very possible that Circle of the Moon may actually be canon now. So it's up in the air. With Castlevania Legends, on the other hand, he gave two reasons. One, which is immediately pretty stupid, was he didn't think it was historically accurate for a female main character in that time frame. Castlevania Legends took place chronologically before the events of Dracula's Curse. So around before the 1300s or around 1200. Again, I don't remember the exact year, but it's before Dracula's Curse. Everyone's like, that's kind of stupid. You're playing. It's a franchise about you fighting about Dracula. You're fighting Dracula, all these mythological creatures, and now you're concerned about historical accuracy? Yeah. However, it was the second reason he gave that made people kind of at least admit that, yeah, Legends had to be retconned. It was because at the end of Legends, Sonia Belmont had a kid with Alucard, and that's implied to be Trevor. And because of the events of Lamb of Innocence, Sonia's mere existence caused a massive paradox. Because how the vampire killer works is the Belmont clan has to be pure of darkness. They have to be pure. They have to be as good as possibly can. and since Sonia technically gave birth to Trevor, and Trevor's father was Alucard in that sense, and despite the fact Alucard is a good guy, he still holds darkness, which means Trevor wouldn't be able to use the whip. Which means everything past Legends was completely just completely in shambles from a storytelling perspective. So Igarashi had no choice but to retcon Legends out, because as long as Legends was around, all those events like Dracula's Curse, the original Super Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, it completely destroys any sense of the lore. So we had to retcon, which basically what my favorite part is referencing. It's one big reference to what happened with Sonia. So they go in, Sonia meets them, and as she's walking up to them, everyone else in the bar disappears except her and the rest of them, and she talks to them. She talks like, you forgot about me, referencing the fact that she was retconned. She was forgotten from the official history of Castlevania. This scene was actually very clever in how it presented itself by referencing, Sonia's, just despaired and distraught over the fact that she's been forgotten. Because, safe to say, a lot of people did say Castlevania Legends was actually a pretty decent game at the time. It's just, it's just the story completely just fucked everything up. So Sonia, she's trying to beg and plead with all the characters, and all of them are like, we don't know who you are. Again, referencing the fact that she was retconned. And so she pleads with Alucard, who she says, we had a kid, which is basically referencing the end of Legends. She gets angry. And so she challenges them to a drinking contest. First one, if you have to beat me, you gotta outdrink me. And so she challenges them to a drinking contest. Everyone, people start drinking. On the first drink, Dracula passes out because, of course, he did. And after, a couple of drinks, it's basically down to Isaac, Alucard, and Sonia. Alucard's about to pass out, and Sonia, tries and pleads with him one last time. And then Alucard is like he still can't remember, but he's like starting to get an inkling, but he passes out before he gets too into it. And so it's basically down to her and Isaac. And this is why I did not like Isaac. I think this whole scene would have had carried much more impact if Isaac wasn't here, because once it's down to Sonya and Isaac, Sonya grabs like this really old whiskey bottle, pours a drink, stuff like that. They take a shot. Isaac punches Sonya in the face, and then just drinks the bottle and drinks the whole thing straight up. It just killed that scene, that whole part for me. Because I think them passing out and then waking up, or Sonya winning, but her not getting the courage, it would have been much more impactful. I think Isaac would have benefited from Isaac being after Sonya, and Sonya simply being like the first story they go into. I just honestly think that would have worked better. And that's just me. So they all wake up after Isaac and Sonya still like partially inebriated. Wakes everyone up. Sonya begs them, like, we had a son. His name was Trevor. Again, referencing the fact that Sonya was canonically the mother of Trevor. And then Alucard starts to remember and wonders like why, and it starts actually starting to wonder what happened to her. Again, alluding to the fact that she was written out of the official Castlevania story. She was retconned. And so at the end, they talk a little bit, saying that Alucard wants to get to know her, but and they all offer to join their little troop. Sonya actually agrees. And this is the part that actually really teared me off. I actually cried at this part. Is they're about to leave the door. They open. They all leave. Sonya goes with them, but she doesn't come. But she doesn't go through the other side. She disappears, and everyone forgets about her because she's non-canon. And that actually was very emotionally impactful, and it was really well done because everyone, as soon as they left, everyone except for Alucard forgot about her. And even Alucard was, and even for the most part, Alucard was still trying to remember who she was. She just remembered it was someone who wants to be remembered and didn't like the fact that she was forgotten. Like, she was erased out of everyone's memory. And I thought that entire part was very impactful. It would have been even more impactful if Isaac wasn't there. But, it's a small thing. But it really spoke of the author's actual skill. That entire part was just basically one big reference to the whole Sonya situation. I thought that scene was incredibly well done. If it wasn't for this, then Jokeim would have been my favorite part because he's just hilarious. But that part was just and for such a small thing, it's only like a chapter. It's only like half a chapter and like a couple paragraphs on the next chapter. But But it fit the idea of the story so well, and it was just so impactful on an emotional level because I actually liked Sonya. I thought she was a cool character, and it actually kind of broke my heart when she couldn't join him because she's not canon, and it's the sort of meta context that you have to that you at least have to know the lore of the games or just listen to what I said earlier about what happened with Igarashi and why he retconned her. It's one of those situations you have to be knowledgeable of the lore of not only the games but what happened behind the scenes to really get, because if you didn't know about the whole Sonya situation bit, the whole scene would not have carried as much weight. It wouldn't have been as impactful as it was. It wouldn't make you feel sorry for Sonya. It wouldn't have made you feel sorry for all the characters because Alucard was actually, kind of distraught over Sonya not being able to join him, despite the fact he couldn't remember anymore. It was a bunch of little things that added up that just made the scene so much more than it had any right to be. Like, especially in a humor adventure story, this kind of emotional punch was, while unexpected, was completely welcome in the context of the story. And that's why it's my favorite part. It was that it was just that emotional, gut check that really made me like the story, and it's made it a very good scene part in my eyes. Would I recommend the story? I would, if only for the Sonya part. Like again, the Sonya part was actually really well written, but not just that. There's also a lot of in jokes to winks and nods to the Castlevania fan base. It's really well written in terms of characters. Like I said, if you're into this type of humor, go right ahead. This type of humor is not going to be for everyone. So yeah, I would recommend it. Would I change anything? Like, if I had a chance to change something, I would just simply switch Sonya and Isaac's rooms. Like, they visit Sonya first and then Isaac. That's pretty much it. Like, just keep the scenes as they are, or just keep Isaac as it was. Like, but have have them meet Sonya first. I think that would have just been much more impactful, because Isaac kind of partially ruined it. Not enough to weaken the whole thing in my eyes, but he was just really annoying in that part. Just that one part in general in my eyes. So that is my review on That is my review on Requiem Trust. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. I really did like the story. Again, I really love the Sonya part. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.